Hello, I'm Jane Dutton with a wrap of the week's news. The International Court of Justice has delivered its order today, in which South Africa is asking it to put a stop to Israel's military operations in Rafah.
The court considers that, in conformity with its obligations under the Genocide Convention, Israel must immediately halt its military offensive and any other action in the Rafah governorate which may inflict on the Palestinian group in Gaza conditions of life that could bring about its physical destruction in whole or in part.
South Africa welcomes the ruling made by the court today. The court essentially ordered Israel to halt its military operations in the Rafah area to ensure that no further harm comes to Palestinians as a result of Israel's military actions and the denial of life-saving food and medication in that area and the whole of Gaza for the last 7 months. This order is groundbreaking, as it is the first time that explicit mention is made for Israel to halt its military action in any area of Gaza, this time specifically in Rafah. While legally the court cannot use the term ceasefire as well, we could not call for the term ceasefire. This is de facto calling for a ceasefire.
The order comes on the back of the chief prosecutor of the International Criminal Court, Karim Khan, on Monday, applying for arrest warrants for Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and his Defense Minister Yoav Gallant, as well as 3 of Hamas's top leaders for war crimes and crimes against humanity.
Today, that I have reasonable grounds to believe, on the basis of evidence collected and examined by my office, that Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and Minister of Defense Yoav Gallant bear criminal responsibility for the following international crimes committed on the territory of the State of Palestine from at least the 8th of October 2023. The crimes include starvation of civilians as a method of warfare, willfully causing great suffering, serious injury to body or health or cruel treatment, willful killing or murder, and intentionally directing attacks against a civilian population, as well as crimes against humanity of extermination and or murder, persecution, and allegations of crimes of committing other inhumane acts.
Anti-gender-based violence legislation, which is a small step in bringing an end to crimes committed against women and children in the country, has been signed into law. President Ramaphosa signed the bill along with the anti-corruption bill into law. In the third quarter of last year, close to 2,000 cases of GBV were recorded in the country, with more than 1,500 cases of attempted murder involving children being investigated.
We have worked to improve the support provided to survivors of gender-based violence through the establishment of the new Thuthuzela care centers.
We now know that former President Jacob Zuma cannot run for a seat in Parliament for the Umkhonto weSizwe party in the upcoming elections. The Constitutional Court has overturned the Electoral Court's previous ruling, giving his candidacy the go-ahead. The court has held that the 15-month prison sentence it gave Zuma for contempt in 2021 disqualifies him.
This court concludes that Mr. Zuma was convicted of an offence and sentenced to more than 12 months imprisonment for the purposes of Section 47(1)(e) of the Constitution, and is accordingly not eligible to be a member of and not qualified to stand for election to the National Assembly until 5 years have elapsed since the completion of his sentence.
President Cyril Ramaphosa, who came into our Prime Media studios, has called for all parties to respect the ruling.
I'm not concerned about this instigating violence. President Jacob Zuma should be the one person who should respect the rule of law. We have rule of law in South Africa that governs us. Once a constitutional court has decided, that is it.
But the First Rand Group has identified the party as a national security risk in the upcoming elections and pointed out 7 of the 9 provinces as hotspot areas, with KwaZulu-Natal leading as the province where possible protests and unrest is likely to erupt.
So this impression that's been created that Umkhonto is a violent party is a total sham, it's a total lie. It aims to drive a certain narrative by those who are fearful. The wheels of inevitability that are going to yield change continue to grind in the direction of the 29th of May for a two-thirds majority. That's exactly what's happening.
So who then is the leader of the MK party? The party's founder, Jabulani Khumalo, insists he's still the registered leader of the party. Khumalo said he never wrote a letter to the Independent Electoral Commission of South Africa transferring leadership of the party to former President Jacob Zuma.
I'm here standing for the MK as a leader of MK. There is no letter that is written by me that I'm not a party leader.
Johannesburg was a cesspit in many parts this week as casual workers with the city's waste management service Pick It Up refused to work and rather intensified their protest. The workers, whose contracts will expire soon, gathered at different depots in the city demanding permanent employment from the entity and say they'll not be bullied into backing down from the protest.
We're going to caucus with other depots how we can best intensify so that we can apply pressure.
This week saw Judge Mandisa Meyer becoming South Africa's first soon-to-be female Chief Justice. She'll take over from Raymond Zondo and lead our judicial system for the next 10 years.
I know that I will bear the enormous responsibility of ensuring that the institution remains strong, retains its integrity, and firmly executes its role of protecting and promoting the Constitution and the law, so that our country, especially the poor and most vulnerable members of our society, are guaranteed access to justice.
Also this week, the death of Iran's President Ibrahim Raisi, who died in a helicopter crash on Sunday. Raisi was traveling by helicopter in the country's East Province when it came down in a forested area. Iran's foreign minister was also among those killed.
The latest information we have is that they will call a cabinet meeting today in order to give effect to the constitutional provisions which allow a leadership to be appointed following such a tragic loss.
We'll leave you with that. It's the last weekend of campaigning before elections next week, when all of us will be going to the polls.
Eyewitness News, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, log on to ewn.co.za or ewn.mobi.